I am bound, but I will not break.
Hi guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So they're back with a Morgana complete guide, and now Morgana has been released for quite some time, and I did have one Morgana gameplay in one of my videos, but it wasn't a commentary guide or anything like that. It was just I used it as some background gameplay. But today we're here with the Morgana complete guide, and let me lower the volume a little bit. So we're here with the Morgana complete guide. So Morgana, in my opinion, is best played as a support. However, she can also be played in the mid lane, and she can also be played in the jungle. And honestly, I think that playing Morgana as a jungler is not too bad, especially since they just buffed her W's damage onto jungle monsters from 150% to 200%, so her clear is going to be a lot faster. Also, because in the jungle there aren't really any AP options aside from Evelynn. And now, I do think Evelynn is a better AP option than Morgana, but for someone like me who doesn't enjoy playing Evelynn, I enjoy playing Morgana a lot more. So I guess it's sort of like an alternative, or if your team, rather have a supportive mage like Morgana with her binding and her dark shield instead of an assassin like Evelynn. So definitely Morgana has a place in the jungle meta. Obviously, she has a place in the mid lane meta, and of course, she is very good as a support as well. So basically, she's just good at all roles. I wouldn't say she is like S or S plus tier in any of the roles. I would say she's probably like A tier in all of the roles, but I do think her best role is support. Alright, so now, today we're going to be playing Morgana jungle, just to put that out there at the start of the video. But she does have, I think she has the fastest jungle clear out of all the junglers. Now, in the gameplay later on, you will see that I kind of mess up her clear a little bit, and I also go for a gank before Skull. But if I didn't go for the gank, and if I didn't mess up doing blue buff and grump together, because that was the first time I did it, so if I didn't mess that up, I do believe that Morgana can probably clear 5 camps before before Skull. So you can go from red raptors, wolves, then you do grump and blue buff together, and then you do Skull after that. So you should be able to do 5 camps before Skull spawns, I believe. But before we get too much into that, we can discuss that more in the gameplay. We're actually just going to enter the practice mode in order to cover her skills and leveling order. Okay, so obviously Chinese New Year, or I should say Lunar New Year, kind of in effect here. So first up, she does have a different leveling order for mid and support, as well as for jungle. So for jungle and mid, you will normally start off with, okay, for jungle you definitely start off with your W. For mid, normally you start off with W as well. Sometimes okay, we're going to discuss jungle and mid first in order to avoid confusion. But jungle and mid, you generally start Q first. And level 2 you will go, start W first, I'm sorry, and then you go for Q second. Then obviously you take E, so you have all your abilities. For jungle and mid, you will max your W first, of course take out whenever available. Then you will max your Q. And lastly, max your E. I keep forgetting to take out, but anyways, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to reset level. And now for support. Support, sometimes if you have an aggressive ADC who might be able to get a kill in the early game, for example, a Draven, or even could be something like a Caitlyn, because your root lasts a long time. So sometimes you will take your Q at level 1, and at level 2, you can, for support Morgana, depends on situation. Sometimes you might even want to take your E second and don't even take your W until later on, but then you go for W. Obviously, by level 3, you have all 3 abilities. So for Morgana, in support role, you have the choice between your abilities. For support Morgana, you will max your Q first. Of course, you want lower cooldown on that and longer bindings on your Q. Then second, after you max Q, you will max your E. So you'll max your W last when you're playing support Morgana, because for support Morgana, you're more concerned with rooting people and shielding your teammates. You're not so concerned about doing damage with your W, whereas on the other 2 roles, generally you are more concerned with doing damage on your W. Alright, so we can quickly actually just go to our user spot at the river to discuss what her skills do. And Morgana's skills, honestly, it's really very simple, not too much to explain. Her passive, really simple, works on large minions, large monsters, as well as enemy champions, of course. So first up, we're gonna go to the tower, take a couple of damage so we can really show what we are trying to explain. Alright, so basically her passive allows her to do 20% lifesteal onto what I've just described. So jungle monsters, champions, and large minions, or I should say large monsters. So here I'm gonna root this guy, and then I'm gonna put down my W. As you guys can see, I'm healing up from it. 22 health, 22 health. As you can see, I'm getting health from it. So here I'm gonna do it again. Oh, I missed the root there, a little bit embarrassing, but yeah, you guys can see I healed up a significant amount of HP. So that is the passive covered. So we're gonna put an enemy dummy as well as an allied dummy. So her Q really simple. It's a skill shot, pretty long range, but it moves very slow. And when it hits an enemy, it roots them for a long duration. I believe at max rank it's 3 seconds. 2.75. So here, boom. As you can see, he's rooted, still rooted, yeah, rooted for a long time. So now her W, you put down this patch of soil, which does dot damage every 0.5 seconds, like that. So what happens is whenever you trigger her passive, the cooldown of the W will go down by 0.5 seconds. So if I use it on this minion wave here, as you can see, the cooldown is dropping rapidly because it's doing giving me a lot of healing from all the minions, and it's back up again. So that's something to take note of. So here, your E, if you tap it, of course you'll cast it onto yourself. It is a magic damage shield that also also gives immunity to crowd control. So you will not be able to get CC during that time, and you also have shield from magic damage. It doesn't work against physical damage. So I will show the CC part in a while, the moment this dragon spawns, because obviously dragon does of course have CC when it spawns. So here I'm going to activate the black shield on myself, then I will aggro the dragon. Alright, so back shield, and I aggro the dragon. As you can see, I'm immune and the dragon cannot push me away. So that is what it's all about. And lastly, her ultimate. So ultimate has this range where you can only activate it if there is an enemy in range. As you can see, no enemy can activate my ultimate. If it's in range, it lights up and you can activate it. So basically what happens is when you tap it, it will deal a burst of it will deal a percentage max health damage to every enemy around here. So you can hit it onto 5 enemies, and I'm gonna actually put down a couple of more enemy dummies to kind of show that you can hit multiple people. So you first cast it like that, it does damage to enemies, and after 3 seconds it will deal the same amount of damage again and stun the enemies. So now what should be noted is enemies can break the tether. So here I'm going to cast it. Let's say that guy furthest from me breaks the tether. He's not going to get stunned or anything. So normally it's quite hard to hit the second part of your ultimate, because you need to wait for a full like 3 seconds before it casts again. So here, as you can see, the chain will persist for 3 seconds, and waiting for that 3 seconds for the second instance of damage and the stun is pretty difficult to do. So generally, if you want to do that, you probably have to get into the middle of the enemy team, press it, and then you press your stasis. Yeah, so you pretty much have to do that. So now that we've covered that, we're going to quickly cover her build, her runes, as well as her spells. Alright, so into the Morgana build. So now this build is what I recommend personally. So you first start off with the Liandry's Torment, and you get the entire complete the entire Liandry's Torment. You don't like only go for hunting, as you complete the entire Liandry's Torment. Then you go for Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Now this gives you a very nasty wombo combo, because as you can see, you will of course get the Madness part, which ramps up your damage, which when they're caught in your root and your soil, you will get this stacked up really quickly, which is also why we take Conquer, because it stacks up really quickly. And as you can see from the Torment part, damaging abilities and empowered attacks deal 1% of enemies max HP as bonus magic damage, and the damage doubles if they're slowed or immobilized. So this synergizes with your Q, which when they are immobilized or rooted with your Q, this will come into effect. So they will take double damage. With the Rylai's giving the icy passive of the slow, they will also take double damage from that. So basically, when you get your first 2 items, you hit a major power spike where you will be doing a lot more damage to enemies. Even if you don't hit your Q and you just plonk your W on the ground, they have to walk past it if you placed it correctly, and they will be taking a ton of damage. Now, after that, I like to go for stasis, because as I mentioned just now, you normally have to get into an enemy team, press your ult, and then stasis for your ult to actually be useful. So I normally go for stasis after that. Then I like to go for Rabadon's Death Cap, of course, for the injection of AP and, of course, the passive. Then I actually like to go for the Void Staff next, where it gives you magic penetration, because generally by this time there will be a good chunk of magic penetration, magic resistance on the enemy team that you need the penetration for. And for my last item is kind of a flex. Sometimes you can go for Banshee's Veil if you need it for the magic resist and the spell shield. Sometimes that will come in very handy. Otherwise, sometimes you will actually instead go for something in the Morellonomicon if you need the Grievous Wounds. Generally, I feel that it's between Morellonomicon and Banshee's Veil. Nothing else kind of really makes sense. Crystalline Reflector doesn't really make too much sense because pretty much if you get caught, you're gonna die anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now, I'm gonna quickly go through an alternative build for Morgana. This is a little bit more for Morgana mid. So this is a very scaling build where you go for Rod of Ages, which scales very well into late game. Then you go for Archangel Staff, which also scales very, very well into the late game. And then the last 3 items, you pretty much go for the same. An alternative that you can consider is building a Luden's Echo. Some people like building Luden's Echo on Morgana, and Luden's Echo honestly is a really good item for Morgana, but I just like the Rylai's Liandry's combo better. So Luden's Echo can be substituted in instead of Rod of Ages or instead of Archangel's Staff. But honestly, when you're playing jungle Morgana, you don't really need Archangel's Staff because you're normally getting blue buff, and I don't really think you need a Rod of Ages, or rather I should say I personally just prefer this combo. So I'm going to quickly go over her runes. So for jungle Morgana and for mid lane Morgana, generally I take Conqueror, because Conqueror is going to be stacked up really easily when people walk in your soil. You can also go for something like an Electrocute for better laning damage, but I think Conqueror is just way better. Generally, the general rule of thumb in Wild Rift is whoever can take Conqueror will take Conqueror. So Conqueror is an option as well, or is the main option, actually. So Airy is another option, which is normally when you go for a support Morgana. When you shield people, you will proc the Airy, and of course you also do get a little bit more poke in lane if you W anybody. So pretty much those are your 3 main options. I generally always go for Conqueror unless I'm playing Morgana in the support role, which then I'll go for Airy. But Electrocute is a option as well. For jungle Morgana, you always want to go for Brutal because this will help you in your first clear. However, if you're playing Morgana as support or mid, I would go for Weakness because when you hit people with your root, it will increase the damage they take by a ton, namely 5% from both your own damage, your soil, as well as your team's damage. So Weakness is the way to go. And for the second one in the jungle, I always take Bone Playing because basically there's nothing else that's really useful. Hunter not really useful for Morgana, the rest not really as well. So I generally always go for Bone Playing for Morgana in pretty much all roles actually. So for jungle Morgana, I like going for the Path Finder in order to move around the map faster. Of course, Mastermind is also a pretty good option for Morgana in the jungle role, which will let you take epic monsters faster as well as a little bit more gold from turrets. If you're playing Morgana in lane, obviously Sweet Tooth will be your best option for more sustain in terms of health and mana. So obviously jungle Morgana, you will be taking Smite. For lane Morgana or support Morgana, obviously for support generally you take something like an Exhaust. In lane you would take something like a Barrier or an Ignite. And in fact, if you play mid lane Morgana, you can also go for Exhaust. Exhaust never really a bad option, depends on what's on the enemy team. But for lane Morgana, it's between Exhaust, Barrier, and Ignite. For jungle, it's obviously Smite. There's no two ways about that. And with all that out of the way, we can now move on to the gameplay. Okay, so now here we have the gameplay. But first off, as usual, if you guys enjoy what you're seeing so far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, this is going to be a very, very exciting gameplay. Not gonna really spoil it too much at the beginning, but all I can say is it is going to be very, very exciting. So here is me trying out Morgana Jungle. It's not the first time I'm trying Morgana Jungle. Like, as I said, I have done a video with a gameplay on Morgana Jungle. So it's not the first time I try Morgana Jungle, but I've not actually practiced Morgana's Jungle clear at all before or after the buff. So I don't actually know how fast she can clear the jungle. Only after I cleared the jungle here that I realized how fast her clear actually is. So as you guys know, I'm not really a jungler, I'm an ADC main, but I got autofill jungle. So My team needed a P, as you guys can see from the team comp, so I decided to go for Morgana because, as I mentioned a little bit earlier on in the video, I don't like playing Evelynn. So here, I know that this can be done because I see it being done in Elite PC. Now, I know the map is slightly different, but I do believe it can be done. So here, I auto-take each of the Grump and the blue buff once to pull them to the mill, and I plant my W in the mill of both of them, so it'll hit both of them. Now, I actually messed up my second W there because I did not actually hit the blue buff with it, and I wasted my Q onto the ground, which obviously makes my clear slower. So now 3 camp clear with like 2 huge screw ups takes 1 minute and 15 seconds roughly. So I think I could have shaved off maybe another 5 seconds had I not screwed up at least. And here, which means I would have 15 seconds left before Skull spawns if I didn't just walk up and do that. So in that 15 seconds, I do believe we could pick up the Wolves and the Raptors, because obviously Morgana can take AoE camps, not AoE camps, but can take camps, you know, with multiple jungle monsters there very easily with her W, of course. So here, coming in for a gank, obviously Vayne just died, but that has left like Draven and who's the support actually? Sona, relatively low on resources. Unfortunately, Draven flashes for it to get the kill on Nami, but I'm gonna chase down Draven for the kill. I hit level 5, which actually helps me to survive. Then I hit my ult, because the reason is I know she's gonna chase me, so she does get stunned and I do survive. So kind of really fortunate that I hit level 5 there, which allowed me to get my ult, which allowed me to both, number one, get the health I needed to survive, and also get the ultimate, which also allowed me to survive, because obviously, as you guys saw, if I didn't actually manage to stun her there, Sona with the minions probably would have killed me, I do believe. So kind of a very nice gank there. So here we're gonna move on to clearing. So here, as you guys can see, we're at level 5. You guys can see how fast the Raptors just die instantly. So obviously, when you're dealing with these AoE camps, you always want to target your Q or your auto text onto the big one, because the small ones pretty much are gonna be covered by just the damage from your W. So with the Wolves, attack the Giant Wolf, with the Raptors, attack the Big Raptor, and obviously with the Krugs, attack the Big Krug. So here, obviously, I've been spotted by Twisted Fate ult, so I can't really do too much. People know I'm on the Krug, so Riven is going to be a little bit more wary that I'm in the area. So instead, I'm just going to farm up. Now, ideally, in the later stages of the game, I do actually want to give the red buff, ideally to the Vayne if she's doing well. If not, I can also give it to Pantheon or Zed, because in the later stages of the game, Morgana doesn't actually benefit from red buff at all, because obviously, I can't say at all, but she doesn't really benefit from red buff as much as the other champions on the team, because obviously she is AP. And if you guys notice, without the blue buff, you do run out of mana relatively quickly. So that is definitely a consideration. So here the Dragon and Herald is spawning in about 15 seconds. So here I'm going to pick up a Blasting Wand. Now we obviously don't have enough for completing Liandry's yet, but we can, you know, of course, get an item power spike. So here I'm pinging to go for Dragon, pinging my team to go for Dragon, so they know, you know, what I'm planning to do. But at the same time, I see that the enemy bot lane hasn't rotated, and I feel it's really unlikely for Master Yi to be on Dragon by himself. So I do think there is time to pick up the blue buff before that, because Morgana clears jungle very fast. I'm obviously not going to waste Smite on the blue buff, because I need it for jungle monster. Now here, obviously, haven't really played Morgana in jungle. Auto target W causes you to just drop it right at your feet, apparently. So trying to actually pick up the Scuttle in the meantime. But here, Sona and Draven are kind of zoning us away. Sona not so much, but Draven very much so, because Draven in the early game does so much damage, he can easily destroy all of us. So here I ran out of patience, and I decided the best move is to go for just force the Dragon, because I thought Master Yi was likely going to be at the Rift Herald. But here we actually see Master Yi and Twisted Fate show up, so we know that what I had assumed was wrong. Either way, we're actually gonna win the team fight. So here we get 2 kills. Here I'm gonna help out the Vayne, putting down the soil at the part where Twisted Fate will have to walk at, so he's guaranteed gonna die. Here Master Yi's in the pit. I actually flashed over the smite because I thought that he was actually still in the pit, but actually, like half a second before I flashed over, my team actually did manage to kill the Master Yi. So actually, I kind of wasted flash there, but you know, better to be safe than sorry. So we get off a mid lane push for the priority, and we're gonna rotate straight over to Herald, because obviously the entire enemy team just died. Now downside is that it's only 5 minutes into the game, so they are gonna respawn relatively quickly, so we do have to do this Rift Herald relatively quickly, and we can expect we likely will be disrupted, as you guys can see here. Enemy team is coming in. I smite for the secure, and I also ult since everybody is in my area. I actually managed to hit the second proc onto Master Yi, and he gets stunned and he dies. And we pretty much clean up the entire rest of the enemy team who showed up as well. So a little bit unfortunate for the enemy team where they pretty much lost both the team fight at the Dragon and the Herald. So this puts us very ahead, picking up not only the 2 objectives but also multiple kills on the enemy team. So here, what I'm planning to do is to take down the mid tower to get the first tower of the game. We just need a little bit more damage onto the tower. When it goes below 2000, it's a guaranteed kill with a full HP Rift Herald, which is exactly what has happened. So here I'm just going to back, let the Rift Herald do its work, and here I pick up my boots as well as completing my Leandries and getting about halfway or slightly under halfway to getting Rylized. Now obviously we have been having a lot of action, so all of our jungle is up. There isn't really anywhere we can gank at the moment, so in the downtime, obviously as a jungler we just farm the jungle. Zed is already doing a stellar job at just pretty much just killing people. So here I actually see that Riven is pushing in, and I don't actually want her to get anything. So I don't want her to get a plate or at all. So I'm just going to rotate over and get the wave since Pantheon isn't actually here. Alright, so now that we've ascertained that Riven is either backing in a bush or just pretty much not in the lane, here I'm going to return to my jungle, clear the Krugs, and as you guys can see, when you plonk your W down, all the Krugs just die really quickly. So really shows how fast Morgana's jungle clear is. And in fact, majority of the time, even if you're ganking very actively, you should be having time in downtime to farm the jungle, because just how fast, let's look at how fast she clears camps. I think that's one of Morgana's biggest strengths is, of course, clearing the jungle. And I really just like Morgana as a champion. She has a Q with huge CCW for area control, and obviously you have your Black Shield for CC immunity, which pretty much very few champions have any form of CC immunity. Of course your ult is a little bit hard to use, but hey, your 3 abilities are already pretty good. Ult, a little bit of a downside in my opinion. But in the right circumstances, your ult can be huge. Especially, your ult is especially more useful if you're playing Morgana in the support role, because you can play a little bit more recklessly and just jump into the enemy team. So here, obviously a fight is going to break out. It's a 4v4. Our team is kind of ahead, so we should be pretty good in this fight. I believe a minion blocked my Q there, but Vayne manages to pick up a kill. And yeah, we do have the advantage. So here we're going to just go for the tower. We're going to check if anyone's in that bush. Riven is in that bush, so Zed's just going to run her down. The rest of us will just be able to take the tower. And there we go. Zed picks up the kill on the Riven. Grom interrupts Zed's back instead of mine, so kind of lucky on that one. So we pick up the Rylized, we go for the Ionian Boots of Lucidity. Now I think I kind of forgot to mention this in the build section of the video, but pretty much you'll always go for Ionian Boots because you want faster cooldowns on your abilities being a mage. And you'll pretty much always go for Stasis just because you need the Stasis to use your ult. Even on support Morgana, Stasis is still a very good option because you can engage with your ultimate, flash in, ult, and Stasis. But of course, if you're playing support, like Redemption and Locket is still viable. If not, you can also maybe go for Proto Belt if you want for a bit more extra mobility. If not, Stasis, I'd say 95% of games you go for Stasis. So here, obviously, we're going to sweep out and destroy the enemy's ward. Here I hit my root onto Master Yi, but Sona pretty much just negates it. Zed ults the Master Yi and goes for him, so here we do actually manage to kill the Master Yi, so there shouldn't really be any threat to the dragon because the enemy team doesn't have their smite anymore. Pantheon goes in with a huge engage, and here I'm just staying in, well, not really the backline, but kind of in the middle because I want to actually get my stun off onto people, and I do manage to hit on 2, and I also managed to root the Sona. So really nice team fight yet again from us. We get a almost an ace up. Twisted Fate is still alive. I kind of missed my smite by about 60 HP there, but doesn't really matter because no one is left alive. So same story as the previous time. We won the fight at the dragon, and now we can just go straight for the Herald. Enemy team this time with longer death timers, of course, being later on in the game. So this Herald should be a little bit easier to take than the previous one. Now obviously the problem with this one is we have 2 people on it versus 3 people, and we have the support and me on the Herald, so not too much damage going on the Herald, but we do manage to secure it before anyone on the enemy team shows up. Riven tries to turn up to the party, but she's a little bit too late. So here we've secured our Stasis, going for a double amp tome, of course building towards our death cap. And yeah, so here the red buff is up, but honestly no one is really taking it, so If no one wants to take it, I'm just gonna take it. And I see a fight breaking out. So I was actually trying to finish off the red buff first, but I realized I can't wait anymore. I shield the Z just in case. And of course, here we chain CC with the Pantheon. Pantheon combined with anyone who can CC, like a Senna or a Morgana, like that's to aim their CC is really good, because Pantheon can just jump onto them. It guarantees that you hit your CC and they're gonna be just chain CC'd forever. So here nobody taking the red buff, so I'm just gonna take the red buff. Obviously red buff still gonna have some kind of use on me, like on the slows and the burn damage, of course. So, but what I really want is actually the blue buff. So here I'm gonna show you guys how to do the grub and blue buff again. You auto attack each of them once, put your soil in the direct middle and stand in the direct middle so that no camp resets and you can hit both camps at the same time. So here you guys can see, really simple to do both camps in one shot. So here I'm just going to take the Scuttle. As you can see, when you get your Liandry's Rylai's combo completed, you really start ramping up in terms of your damage. It really does a lot of damage, at least compared to what you were doing before you got your combo. So here, our team is being pretty aggressive. Master Yi is evading Master Yi in the jungle. Here, I kind of get myself caught out because I kind of wanted to join the fight, but here Stasis, as you can see, saves me and it zones them away because I'm in my ult. Do get stunned by Twisted Fate and I get hit by his Q, but thankfully Vayne kills him before he can actually teleport over and kill me. So barely getting out with my life on that one. Obviously that was my fault. I was caught out of position. But here I'm just gonna help the Nami get out. Now if Sona wasn't there, Draven just dies because he obviously took a chunk of damage from my Q and he was trapped in my W. But Nami actually, Sona actually manages to save the Draven's life, unfortunately for my team. So here you guys can see the passive from Morgana in full effect as well. It heals you quite a considerable amount, especially when you can see it, especially when you're low in health. Like as you guys can see, after like using my abilities on like the jungle monsters, I'm pretty much back to full health. So really useful part of Morgana's passive as well. She sometimes may not even need to back if there are jungle camps up to lifesteal off of. So here I was originally planning to back to get some items, but I decided against it because I see some action happening down in the bot lane. My whole team is rotating to the action down in the bot lane, and we're all, me and Vayne, just pinging to attack. Here I think I disrupt the Ribbon's back. Obviously we have no vision there, but I assume that she was backing. Here Vayne Vayne goes in. Vayne does so much damage at this point in time. She's skilled pretty well. She gets a double kill. Master Yi joins the picture, joins the fold, but he's not gonna survive too long. Vayne picks up a triple. And honestly, I didn't really even have to do that much there. I do believe I gave Vayne a black shield, but aside from that, didn't really do too much. And this allows us to pick up Baron because the jungler is down and 2 other team members are down. This is pretty much a free Baron. Just need my team to come over and actually help me do the Baron, which thankfully they are. So really simple. All 5 members of my team onto the Baron now. And yet again, we are not getting baited to go for the Infernal Dragon. Obviously, Baron is the better option. Here, I'm going to back. I have a ton of gold. I'm going to pick up my entire Death Cap and start building towards a Void Staff. Now, not too much magic defense, magic resist in this match thus far, but Void Staff still a good item pickup. Anyway, Morgana doesn't actually have that many item options anyway, so Death Cap is not Death Cap. Void Staff is still a very good pickup. So here Pantheon actually out straight into the Dragon Pit. Think he probably expected the enemy team to be on the Dragon, but they are actually not on the Dragon. So here we're just going to go for the Dragon. Master Yi tries to come in, but I managed to smite the Dragon, no issue. 100% objective so far for me. Here I time the stasis of Master Yi to obviously hit my Dark Binding onto him, and here I stasis myself. I'm gonna do it again. Look at this. Boom! In mid-air, just Sona just dies, timing the stasis perfectly, smiting the Draven for the assist. Twisted Fate goes to the stasis, which is a major mistake. So here I'm going to get another hit of my Q right onto him, and when he comes out of stasis, he's going to get instantly hit by my Q. Really, honestly, couple of perfect stasis timers right there. Honestly, I guess playing AD carry and taking stasis pretty much every game has paid off a ton. Really kind of have just a gut feeling to know when the time is to launch an attack against someone in stasis. So with the Baron and with a huge top wave as well as a mid wave, we are pretty much just going to push for the end. Master Yi tries to go in 1v3. He can't do anything against, you know, my entire team. Vayne has recall. Vayne's coming back. Doesn't really matter. Now here I've run out of mana completely. So because I didn't actually manage to pick up blue buff. So One of Morgana's problems, of course, if you stay onto the map for too long, but at this point I don't really have to do anything. I just have to stay around to let the Baron minions finish off the game. So the Baron minions do actually end up finishing off the game, so we do get the victory there. Perfect Morgana gameplay without any deaths, and my entire team did very well, as you can see here. Everybody got either S or A, and I did better than 99% of Morgana, so that's really really great, I guess you could say. So anyways guys, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.